Hey, how's it going, YouTube? We've got the Major 2 all wrapped up, and all that's left for the RLCS season is the World Championship, which is about 3 months from now. So we've got a lot to talk about. Obviously, we're going to be recapping the Major, all the pros, cons, the good, the bad, the ugly, and in between. Some fun stats to bring up for you all, as well as just kind of an all-encompassing recap of what went down this weekend. We watched 33 hours of Rocket League over the last 4 days, so I did not miss a single match. I watched every little thing. I'm going to do my best to kind of break down and talk about the storylines and all that kind of stuff as well. If you guys enjoy this kind of stuff, make sure you guys hit like, subscribe, notifications down below. It helps me out greatly. Leave comments about your favorite moments as well. Number one, I talked about doing a more accurate prediction. I also talked to my Q&A video, things I would like to see, and we did get a lot of those things. So without further ado, let's take a look at the bracket itself. The Swiss stage, 33 best of fives, 33 of them. I went 29 and 33. I only got 4 predictions wrong. It started off with a bang. Power playing upset over Oxygen, which is kind of bonkers, if I'm being completely honest. That shocked a lot of people. We were really excited to see the #1 seeds from every single region really live up to that expectation. Power looked really, really good out of their region, although they continued to go to round 5 and have heartbreak. You even saw Falcons look absolutely dominant. A 3-0 sweep over G2. I talked about it in my Q&A video. I desperately want to see Falcons G2 play each other. It's the #1 match I want. I wanted to see validity provided to the Falcons and how good the Falcons actually are, and we got that. They made G2 look like a bubble team in that series. It was unbelievable. We've also talked about how historically teams that lose in Swiss to a team and get a rematch get basically dealt the keys of like, hey man, you know exactly what it was that we beat you with. Take that information, adjust, and then perform better. We'll see if that actually pays off, because there is a rematch between these two if you haven't seen it. Along with that, Mobula, for some reason, continues to want to be the villains on the timeline, even though we will not see them for the remainder of the 2024 calendar year. As they got 0-3, they went 1-9. They tried to talk some ish on the timeline, whatever VK Salen is up to. It ain't it. Direct backed it up with some stats and was like, bro, historically, you're one of the worst performing teams ever on LAN. Also, Limitless has won multiple series, not individual games. I don't know why you're talking ish when you didn't do your homework. So Direct came in out with the stats book, smacked them across the face with it, and we move along. So Mobile is gone. No longer have to think about them, rent-free. And yeah, outside of that, I got the other prediction I really wanted. I thought Gladiators with Though was going to perform better. I was not impressed by the Chiefs at all. They go 0-3. Unfortunate, as much as I love LBP and the guys. But let's call it what it was, chat. We can see all these results. We can pick apart each individual's. #1 match to pay attention to is this one. G2 Gen G. Bates and Daz decided to do something a little bit special and give us the first true bias cast we have ever heard. Gen G obviously has Dazzard on the payroll. G2 has Bates on the payroll. They both casted and just full bias went at each other, and it was amazing. Both of them did a really, really good job. But Bates is right. Bates was right. G2 wins in a very close game 5. I've also been preaching a lot about Gen G and how, hey, it takes a long time for a new play style, habits to change, and a majority of it is first killer. Hey, first killer, you can't play selfish, feed me the rock, always on the ball type playstyle. You need to alleviate, use your talents, survey the field, put yourself in a good position to then make a play. We started to slowly see that build from Gen G, and by the end of it, Gen G looked like a true solid team, which we haven't seen in a long time. After they won Qualifier 4, top 8 removals, they have not looked good. So Gen G, as long as they keep up their I guess their training regimen, if you want to call it that, going into Worlds is going to be interesting. We'll talk about post-Worlds and what to look forward to, as well as pre-Worlds, some things on the timeline, just so we aren't going to have just a straight 3-month break. We'll talk about those in a future video. Make sure you guys hit subscribe so you don't miss out on those. But overall for Swiss, pretty straightforward, as premeditated. The only things that I could see going differently, I talked about, is Gen G either going to ascend or are they going to crumble? Also, outside of that, is Oxygen going to make top 8 or not? That was, to me, the only thing that was subject for discussion, is seeing someone like either a Furia or a Space Station or, you know, Gentlemates maybe not to live up to things or whatever, maybe one team swapping in and out for a potential oxygen. That was really the only thing that I could see being differently, which as soon as we saw power beat oxygen, my expectation of them was like, okay, I'm not expecting them to move forward. Although that said, very close game 5 against Furia. It was very competitive, but Furia, very, very aggressive. That continued as well into the quarterfinals. But in our top 8, I think these were very predictable. I don't think that's anything out of line. I think seeing the top 8 that was there was to be expected. We then go into our playoffs. So after 2 days of competition, day 1 was 16 best of 5s. Day 2 was round 3, 4, and 5, which was 17 best of 5s. We then get into Saturday. So we had the quarterfinals, 1 matches, all best of 7s. And we started with G2 Space Station, and we finally got to see the in-arena crowd, which was pretty mild. Like, crowd went mild to a degree. England did not give a shit about watching G2 and Space Station play game 1. They just didn't care. G2 also didn't care about Space Station being on the field because they proved that they are the better team. I will tell you all that between G2 Space Station, G2 really hadn't been proven up to this point. If you look at their results and who they ended up playing, they weren't really tested. They played Gladiators, they played Power, they got smacked by Falcons, and then finally they played Gen.G, which people have been kind of like in between on. So like coming into quarterfinals, we're like, G2, we're not sure if you're going to take it. We don't know how well things are going to go for you coming into this matchup. So G2 did win, goes to semifinals. After that, I think we got Falcons Gen.G, and Falcons made Gen.G look like a second-rate team. Falcons came out swinging. Super fast, super aggressive. The Twins were on ball. TRK continues to be that guy. Falcons looked really good and arguably as one of the favorites. Falcons to me was like, yep, this is a team that I've been preaching. Top 3 in the rankings without a doubt. They deserve the accommodations, and they lived up to it. Falcons looked really, really good, and they had a really tough run coming through. Space Station, BDS, and G2. So many people are like, yeah, they've been tested. They look good. They have every right to be in that conversation. We then had Mates versus BDS. We did some math on this, actually. If you guys haven't seen, I have a roster document that's in the description down below. I do an aggregate of point placements, which are purely based upon how well teams are placed or what their ranking is based upon objective rankings, which is, hey, how did you perform? You get a point aggregate. We put that into a list that gives you your ranking. When we look at EU, Mates, despite having the performances they do, still don't outperform regional winners of BDS because they pale in comparison. They barely squeak in to the majors, and then they just dominate. Let's call it what it is. I'm a believer. I didn't know that Mates was going to be able to get away with. I said this. I don't think Mates is capable of continuing success by winning 1-goal games. So Mates goes, we hear you, Lawler. We understand that, so let us average 4 goals a game. They destroyed BDS. Like, it wasn't even close. 4-1, 4-0, 4-1, 6-1. That's absurd. 18-3 goal differential. It was a bloodbath. I think it's arguably one of the most dominant performances I've ever seen in RLCS history on LAN. And it was unbelievable. The sad thing is those two teams are going to play each other in the semifinals. Obviously, you can see the results lived up to the hype. We'll talk about that in a bit. And then in the last game, we got Furia versus Vitality. Furia came out very aggressive. But the thing that I've always critiqued Furia on, it seems like they're improving about. Furia finally, when given space on defense, slowing down, controlling the place, intelligent decisions, making sure that they challenge teams in their corner instead of just trying to boom and force the ball. Furia, for the first time, looked like a well-rounded team. And the only thing about this series that I really was frustrated about is it should have been a 4-0. Furia had this game in the bag. They made Vitality look pathetic. The difficulty is when there's that many technical issues, which are just simply unacceptable at this point. Production, there was a lot of problems in this series. There was a bunch of pauses, a lot of timeouts and hiccups. It really killed the experience of what Furia was really doing, similar to how Gentlemates dominated BDS. Outside of that, though, Zen, credit to the kid, doing everything in his power to hype up the crowd. He's taking off his headset. He's trying to amp up the crowd. He's trying to get that crowd behind them. He did not want to go out without a fight. I have a lot of respect for the young kid standing up and trying to be that captain. And you saw some very big emotions come out of Radosin. You know, they showed videos of him crying and stuff, which I will never feel bad about. At the end of the day, one, it's entertainment. Two, it shows he cares. It makes me more of a fan of Radosin. And the frustrating thing is he's probably going to be the one that gets kicked. He's going to be the one that gets the most hate on social media, even though he is super impactful on the team and his performances make or break for the roster. So we did get to see a different vitality eventually in the series. I think a lot of it, though, is due to Zen and willing his way to get those victories. But Furia really, really played well. There was also some things that happened after the match ended. There was definitely some talk being thrown between the two teams. There was definitely some middle fingers thrown out, some L's. Mateus, their coach, who I'm a big fan of, they were talking their shit. Both teams were definitely getting a little lippy. I'm okay with it because at the end of the day, they from handshakes, hugs at the end. Again, I'm okay with them being animated, showing they care, talking shit to the other team, as long as they are respectful after all is said and done, which I think all these players have an immense amount of respect for each other. So Furia comes out, great stuff. We then go to Championship Sunday. We start with what is essentially what it feels like the real grand finals. Falcons mates came out swinging again. Both teams look incredible. It came down to a challenge on the right wall. It pinched into midfield. Gentlemates got a little bit over aggressive and it goes into the back of the net. But it was a fight. Both teams trading blows back and forth. Very reminiscent to me of like when NRG played Dignitas, where like, hey, you score a worldie of a gold, Garrett G gets bumped off the ceiling, hits a flip reset. Violent Panda then hits a flip reset gold, and you hit back and forth. Easily the best series when it comes to quality of play, by far. The difference, though, is that Falcons and Gentlemates both were like, you know what? Rather than playing a controlled game, rather than trying to utilize the space that's being provided, we're just going to play super fast, super aggressive. We're just going to go, 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 go. And it is by far the fastest paced, highest speed game I have seen. Like, it was good. It was a really good series of Rocket League, which is weird because of the contrast that you're going to see when I talk about here in a little bit. As for G2 and Furia, Furia put up a good fight, but G2 just outclassed Furia on this one. They just had an answer for everything. Shots were on target, goals were there. Furia, I think, just got kind of outperformed in this one on a talent perspective, despite Furia being a good team. The other cool thing about this, as you guys can see, that is 4 regions in the semifinals. Top 4 different region representation. NA, EU, MENA, and SAM, which is a really good sign. The reason why other world championships and other esports like Counter-Strike perform as well as they do is because it is very, very difficult to have a consistent performance at the top. You talk about the Grand Slam in Counter-Strike and how difficult it is to win major events, so on and so forth. It is very good for the esport when truly everybody has the chance to come in and make a performance. I even asked on the broadcast to CJ was like, hey man, Torsos is dominating OCE again, but we haven't seen them top 8 in a really long time. What is it going to take for someone to take the crown and see OCE improve? And short answer he basically said was everything, which was kind of silly. He's just like, yeah, we got to improve our shooting, we got to improve our defense, we got to improve our passing, we got to improve our boost management, we got to improve. I'm like, so basically everything has to change in OC. Good answer, CJ. Kind of harsh, but yeah. Sam and Mina have improved immensely. Their number 1 seeds are there. Their number 2 seeds are still lolling behind a little bit, but your best representation out of those regions are world class. So was very, very happy to see this. Super entertaining across the board, which then gave us our grand finals. And while Falcons put up a fight, G2 really, really dominated. Rather than playing the pace game like Mates did against Falcons, and this is what I was kind of talking about in that contrast, G2 really took advantage of the space they were being provided. Controlled touches, passing across the field. Falcons is a team that requires a ton of boost to be performative. They denied boost. They passed cross field, which makes them have to spend even more and puts them out of position. G2 just had an answer for everything. G2, world class, beast mode, best player in the world conversations going on like crazy. I personally think Daniel probably could have taken MVP. Daniel played extremely well, but yeah, It was crazy. Overall predictions for myself, we went 32 out of 38. Predictions wise, 84.2%, which is actually worse than how I did last year. I was at an 87%. So 84.2% prediction rate, 32 out of 38. I will take it. I told you a more accurate prediction when we watched every single match, and we did exactly that. 4 region top 4 was incredible. Other cool stats. That's now 8 grand final appearances for G2 Esports. This is also the first non-EU grand final in the RLCS. There's always been EU representation in the grand final. The only other time that has happened is DreamHack Montreal when G2 lost to the Peeps and Reddles stood on a desk. Also, G2, despite being as good as they are, this is the first win, actual win for G2 since the 21-22 Winter Major, where they beat Rise, Joyo, and Vatira as Team Queso in a bracket reset. Pretty crazy stuff. Also, on top of that, this is a USA team for North America. All USA for North America. No Canadians, nothing else. Just straight America coming out and taking a W, which has never happened. Pretty crazy stuff there. Now, a lot of people are asking as well, what's next? What do we have to expect? A couple things on the timeline for you all to remember. World Championship isn't until September. We've got some downtime. Because of that, a couple things were announced. We're talking about the Esports World Cup, which is going to be at the end of August. Starts on my birthday, actually. We have also announced a new FIFA E World Cup as well, where we are getting the Intel World Open event. I'm going to be talking about those things in a future video. Again, as always, if you guys do enjoy it, like, subscribe, notifications, leave me comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.